peace, prosperity, and love, beautiful people. Welcome to Gracefully Imperfect, a podcast for the Black and African diaspora in material of socioeconomics, politics, religion, and so forth. The centrality of this podcast is immersive empathy, introspection, deep thought, soul-serving conversation, and communication, all in the light of unlocking the keys to vulnerability and transformation. During our time together, we will engage in topics related to mental and spiritual health experiences, the intersectionality of mental health and creativity, identity and culture, and any and all things related to healing from trauma, gathering insights, cultivating a deep sense of knowing, and repairing soul wounds. In the essence of communal love and collective consciousness, let us open our minds, lighten our hearts, settle our spirit, access soul intelligence, and affirm the richness of our humanity.
Peace, love, and blessings in abundance to all of you. Thank you so much for coming back on another episode of Gracefully Imperfect, where we fully embracing, fully leaning into, fully confronting, fully challenging, fully experiencing the process of vulnerability and transformation, one conversation at a time. For all those who are tuning in as a first-timer, welcome. I am grateful for your presence. I'm grateful that you are accessing this platform for your own spiritual development, spiritual growth, for your own entertainment, whatever the reason is. And for those who are coming back, who are not first-timers, that you being loyal and that you choosing this platform out of the many and many podcast platforms that you can choose from is it's definitely an honor. And it's an honor to be able to host this and to provide the necessary content that will support our advancement, our development, our increasing and enhancing our consciousness, and kind of illuminating a way forward throughout this social and global calamity. For all those who may have forgotten or don't know, I am Kyle. I am a husband. I am a father. I am a Master of Social Work graduate student. I am a U.S. Army veteran, conscientious objector. I am a family member, an uncle, a brother, a cousin, a kinsman. I am a African-centered learner, an African-centered thinker. I will graduate here in the next few months with the Master of Social Work, and the particular social work that I am building knowledge, skills, abilities, and talents in is called Liberation Social Work, which is a derivative of African psychology and the Black liberation philosophy. So again, this platform is really just for strengthening spiritual growth and spiritual development. Again, I understand that in the backdrop of all of this, there's war, there's violence, there's political violence, there's family displacement, there's geopolitical tension. There's proxy wars on the continent, in Central and South America. There's a threat to humanity as a whole. And we got to be able to look at that and see that for what it is. There's an environmental crisis that is creating so much climatic chaos. And this climatic chaos also impacts the social dynamics, family dynamics, and the community dynamics. And we have to see everything that's going on within our universe to really understand how it is affecting and impacting our spiritual identity. And so hopefully with Gracefully Imperfect, with these episodes, that you're able to really look at humanity in a more, not only a humanizing way, but look at it in a holistic way without getting overwhelmed, without leaning more towards the pendulum of angst and excessive anxiety, to maintain balance and harmony while looking at all of the injustices and struggles and concerns and issues that's dealing with the natural phenomenon, the universe, and humankind. Last episode, everybody, we did a very powerful piece on lovelessness. And I'll make sure that for those who didn't watch that or listen to it, that it's in the show notes. And in that episode, we discussed the systemic crisis of lovelessness and the way in which in Western societies and even all European societies, the definition of love is limited to emotion or affect. And because of this narrow-minded view of love is not conceptualized as the willful process to engage in the nurturance of spiritual growth and development for oneself or for others. This powerful concept of love is not only powerful, but also very dynamic. And we wanted to take it a step further this week and focus on a specific flavor of love, revolutionary love. In my process of becoming more and more enlightened and aware of our history, our culture, our heritage as African Black folks here in America, in the Caribbeans, in the West Indies, Central South America, etc., all throughout the diaspora, I've came across a lot of great reading, a lot of great speeches, a lot of great lectures that really touched the depths of my soul. And what I've noticed that with the listening to Marcus Garvey, listening to W.E.B. Du Bois, and the listening to Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, and listening to so many others, especially those African-centered scholars within the African psychology realm, I've noticed that the passion and the passion that they showed and demonstrated completely unmatched and unparalleled. And I've always found myself wondering, how did they sustain their fervor for the cause? How were they able to continue to show up every single day when there was so much social chaos, whether it be segregation, whether it be apartheid, whether it be Jim Crow, whether it be terror lynchings, whether it be the pervasive anti-Blackness that is extremely prevalent in all Western sciences. I've always just found it remarkable just how certain people within our cultural lineage, our cultural heritage, were just steadfast on the mission to empower, encourage, and uplift our people. Even when I look at the arts, music from Bob Marley and Nina Simone and Mahalia Jackson, the list goes on. How were they able to continue to produce and create and construct such great musical art that spoke to the collective consciousness of the people? When I came across the Black Panther Party and I started reading deliberately into not only their mission and their vision, but also the programs that they enacted. The survivor programs, they had over 40, 50 survivor programs. Some chapters had more than others, but all of the survivor programs was designed and implemented to support the needs and the interests of the local people. From the free breakfast program, all the way to the free medical clinic, all the way to the supporting the elderly care, political education classes, you name it. The people and their needs were put at the forefront. And I came across all of this, and through my research and through my studies, I identify with wanting to be a part of not just community building, but be a part of absorbing the collective consciousness and the collective needs of the people, even if it's not popular. I remember when I was learning deeply and intensely about Malcolm X and how his conversion in jail from, a hustler, very street savvy person, to a minister of the Nation of Islam. And then when he got out the prison system, how he did not look back. He trailblazed. He was given the blueprint and he trailblazed forward. He is responsible for the Nation of Islam, partly responsible for the Nation of Islam's expansion during the 50s and 60s, early 60s. And he just ministered and he preached and he delivered powerful, powerful messages to the people. And he held the mirror up for us to look at it and see the distorting image on the other side, but also see the possibility for reconciliation and reclamation. And I found that so fascinating. And even being here with all of you right now, I still find it fascinating. And I always looked at that with the question of what is it that fuels this type of long-term commitment? It just can't be motivation on its own. It just can't be this cultural fervor that reflects collective good. And even if that is, even with all of the backlash received not only from the white vigilantes and the apparatuses of the federal government, Malcolm X in particular, received so much backlash and hostility from the very people he was trying to liberate, yet and still maintain that level of commitment and passion. Same for the Black Panther Party. The Black Panther Party was misunderstood, being the vanguard party against any type of interpersonal, direct, or cultural violence placed on the people, inflicted on the people. They were, even though they became very popular through media, through propaganda, through their own push towards information dissemination, yet they were still very much misunderstood. Some will call them black supremacists. Some people will call him dangerous and criminal. Some people just respected the symbolic imagery of the afros and the leather and the glasses, toting of the guns, but did not really fully understand nor fully respect their commitment and their passion towards ensuring that the collective people are in good standing. And when you give yourself freely and openly, that's a different type of vulnerability. That's full exposure. That's skinless exposure. That's the type of vulnerability that gets championed after one has physically transitioned. Because in the moment, it's not understood. It's overlooked. It's distorted. There are misjudgments and misassumptions placed on the behavior and the action and the communication. And now I'm sitting here with you all. It even makes me think about Norzil Hurston and how she was not respected at all in the anthropology world. How she committed so much of her time, energy, resources, and talents to the science of anthropology by integrating her creative and artistic expression in order to show the fullness of Black life and experience. Yet, when she physically walked this earth, she wasn't given the respect and adoration that she deserved. That's the type of revolutionary love that I am trying to illuminate here. And from all of these examples, Malcolm X, Black Panther Party, Norzil Hurston, all the other abolitionists and African-centered scholars and Black liberation leaders in the United States and also abroad, there were certain qualities and characteristics that create this concept of revolutionary love. And from that, I was able to synthesize and bring together the 3 C's: courage, co-creative, and consistency. Now, in another video, we're going to break this down a little bit further. But just to give an initial outline, an initial structure to understanding the manifestations of revolutionary love, to create the definition, create the naming of revolutionary love, for us to use it in a way that is humanizing and dignifying and self-affirming. I want to go through these 3 C's. Courage. I watched a lecture by Bayina Bello. She is a phenomenal scholar and historian, and she specializes in the history of Haiti and the Haitian Revolution. And she describes courage as spoken truth in support of collective interests and collective goals and the pursuit of justice. And I too ascribe to that definition of courage: spoken truth, satisfying the collective needs, goals, and interests of the people in the pursuit of justice. And so for revolutionary love, we must harness that type of courageousness spirit, that tells the truth, that is honest, that dismantles any signs and symptoms of miseducation. Because without the truth and without the pursuit of truth, there is no justice. There is no justice. Co-creative. thing about love is that, a lot of times we get caught up in it being this felt sense. And in this context, we're speaking about love as an ethic, as an action. And so, what all of these luminaries of revolutionary love that I have spoke of, they all channeled and harnessed revolutionary love in a way that was in support of the reclamation of Black excellence, because we were conditioned systemically, institutionally, societally, etc., that we are an inferior, that we are lesser, that we are insignificant, that revolutionary love luminaries came in and dismantled, dissected, and destroyed that notion, those anti-self notions. So being co-creative is showing the possibility, showing the greatness, showing the strengths, coloring it in all types of colors, showing its complexity, showing that it varies in texture and feels. And sometimes this co-creative process can be very direct. It can be in your face, like a Malcolm X in a 1957, 1958 speech. It also can be very eloquent and very less in your face and less directive, even though still very powerful, and the message is still very much the same. The co-creative process allows us to see ourselves beyond the paradigm of Black inferiority and see ourselves as creators of cultures, of civilizations that see us in spaces that, through white supremacy, we were taught that we don't belong there, whether it's in the literary world, in the corporate world, in the space of entrepreneurship, etc. And lastly, consistency. The flame remains in full, vital, flickering mode. That doesn't mean that we're not talking about perfectionism. We're not talking about without fault. We're talking about a disciplined approach, a disciplined nature to the practice of revolutionary love. Showing up day in, day out, reflecting the times, like Nina Simone says, being adaptive and flexible to the social, economic, and political conditions of the world, understanding the heartbeat of the people, the rhythm, tempo, and pace of the people, understanding their concerns, understanding their apprehensions and reservations, and not only understanding that, responding to it, because that response is what's going to provide that understanding and that foundational framework for showing up and for being a guide, a navigator, a compass, a healer, etc. Those are the 3 C's: courage, co-creative consistency. And this all goes in alignment with the practice of revolutionary love. So I ask all of you, are you willing to accept the challenge in acting and manifesting revolutionary love for the collective good of your people? I do it from an African-centered approach for African people. What is your specific focus? I want to leave you with this quote from Fred Hampton. Why don't you live for the people? Why don't you struggle for the people? Why don't you die for the people? All right, y'all. With that being said, peace, love, great health, and prosperity. Power to the people. And I can't wait for us to get back on here next week and get into some more topics and conversations that will help us embrace the process of vulnerability and transformation, one conversation at a time. Peace and blessings.